Hitman World of Assassination is the game that stealth fans have been looking forward to for many years. If you're playing on an AMD GPU, this review will give you little value, as I would actually highly recommend you do not bother with this title. This is an absolute technical disaster. You will guaranteed have multiple driver timeout crashes due to Hitman 3. I've tried many troubleshooting solutions such as undervolting, overclocking, underclocking, just to try and get some sort of stability. But despite all of my efforts to try and get this game running in a smooth and sustainable way, I still haven't found a solution throughout all the social media platforms such as YouTube, Reddit, wherever I go. There isn't a permanent solution to this issue if you're playing on an AMD GPU. I've had multiple crashes and lost footage due to this very issue. I've got literally recordings of gameplay that are 1 minute long because a crash occurred imminently. So hopefully you're in much better shape if you're using an Nvidia GPU or you're using on one of the consoles, either the PS5, the Xbox Series X or the Xbox Series S. The one thing I definitely do miss about console gaming is that you're assured great optimization and pretty much a lack of crashes. It truly is a shame that in these recent years, PC optimization has definitely gone down, and with more competition with different GPU providers other than Nvidia finally pulling up their socks, less and less optimization depending on the system you're on is going to be inevitable. It's a true shame that this is the case for Hitman 3 on AMD GPUs, because if I'm being absolutely honest with you, there are pretty much no other technical difficulties playing throughout the entire game series. What I mentioned before is going to be stopping people from picking up the game entirely, but if you don't experience these issues, you're going to be assured a great technical experience on the PC platform, without a doubt. I was still able to reach high frame rates at a 4K native resolution. No traversal stutters that we've grown accustomed to on the Unreal Engine 5 engine, but due to IO Interactive sticking to their very own Glacier 2 engine, we are assured a great experience similar to the ones that we experienced on the id Tech engine with the brand new Indiana Jones game that recently came out. For me personally, when I get a brand new PC game, I experience it, I benchmark it, I see what frame rate is going to be the most stable, lock it using MSI Afterburner, then I'm ensured an experience with much higher 1% lows. Hitman is truly a gorgeous game, from the luxurious palaces that are littered all over France with the mission there in Paris, to the icy conclaves that hide the secrets of Japanese medical miracles, to the sandy beaches that filled the resort postcards that you will soon spray with your target's blood. Now, if we're being absolutely honest, Hitman is not the most graphically impressive game you've ever played or the most impressive game you'll ever play. It's a solid experience, but it leans more so on relying on a unique art style that makes everything pop. While other games definitely tried to pursue realism, IO Interactive definitely leaned into making Hitman look and feel like a video game. IO Interactive had no pursuit of emulating reality, but they wanted to create a playground in which you will spend many hours in. I'd say visually the biggest issue are definitely the character models. At times they don't even look like real people, and they definitely do pale in comparison to the quality of the environments you find them in. Unfortunately, the story is also in the same boat, because unfortunately, definitely due to budget constraints, they do cut corners, and this is the one aspect where they said this is the only area where we can compromise on, because everywhere else the quality is maintained all the way from Hitman 1 all up until to Hitman 3. For me personally, I wasn't too mad at this, even though it does get frustrating at times. The animations are poor, and sometimes those very animations are missing altogether, replaced with hard stills to tell the story. Of course, the voice acting is still stellar as always, with the standout voice actor for me personally being Agent 47's handler, voiced by Jane Perry, doing an absolutely star-studded job at setting the scene for your next target, and also during the quest once you've made significant progress. Now, as you well know, this is a review for Hitman World of Assassination. This is essentially taking the 3 Hitman games and combining them all into one smooth and silky package. Definitely the best way for you to play this entire trilogy. I definitely feel a lot for the players who are playing these games at releases. Unfortunately, there were drip-fed content, which I'm sure is due to financial restraints, in a similar fashion to how the seasons are told in the Telltale games. The biggest issue I have with the structure is that Hitman is completely a fully online game. You will have no challenges, you will have no rewards, you will have no tangible benefits for you playing this game completely offline, which is thoroughly frustrating. If you don't have access to an internet connection, you can't even get the final score for you completing the mission. You just go to a straight blank screen of, hey, well done, you've completed the mission, next mission. Bro, what? This causes multiple issues because, for one, you cannot continue your playthrough if you lose your connection. You have to make a brand new save game. If your internet connection is choppy, you'll be kicked out of the game. And of course, if IO Interactive, even though they've promised if they ever do shut down the servers, we're going to be in some trouble. I'm personally in a third world country myself, so you'll definitely be heavily punished for having limited network functionality. Now, I do have Wi-Fi, but if you're a guy who has pretty much bad internet or only primarily plays games offline, you will not get the full Hitman experience. This is just simply plainly unacceptable for a single player game, and honestly this reminds me of the trappings of what Sony is doing with their exclusives, forcing players to create a PlayStation Network account in order to gain access. Even though if you're offline you will still have access to the game, you will not have the full experience. You won't have access to escalations, you won't get any rewards, you won't have any challenges, and you won't even get a final score, which is kind of the point of replaying these Hitman missions. It's truly a degraded experience of Hitman. I'm truly not sure if the goal of IO Interactive is to extract more data from their customers so they can also gain some monetary gain. I don't know what the reason is, but not having full offline functionality is simply problematic. Now, if we slide past the T's and C's, the terms and conditions, and all the red tape you have to get past, at its core, Hitman World of Assassination is a great experience and the gameplay is king. Hitman has great gameplay. It's good, you play from a third-person perspective, and even if you get caught, the gunplay is very solid. You have multiple ways to eliminate your targets, and IO Interactive encourages you to experiment with these weapons and functions and all of these different things happening in each and every level by replaying the missions many times. One tip I would give you if you haven't played any of these games before is that I would actually highly recommend that you rarely use your silenced pistols to eliminate your targets. If you're taking care of his guards, okay, understandable, but I would actually recommend you rather look for mission stories and unique ways to eliminate your enemies, just to keep the gameplay interesting and fun. Now, even though I do mention that, I also do think that there is some sort of forced rigidity that is forced into the game through the use of mission stories. It ends up being the game's best and kind of worst mechanic implemented into the game. And the reason I say this is because the game has essentially already chosen a set path for you to follow, not necessarily you completing your task using your own ingenuity. This is definitely where I think stealth fans will kind of be let down in this regard. If we compare this game to an immersive sim such as Deus Ex or Dishonored, they do kind of do this better as you have much more control over your character, allowing for more creative ways for you to eliminate your targets. Unfortunately, 47 is very stiff and not an acrobat by any means. No parkour, no running through hidden vents. Disguises are the name of the game. But for me, that kind of gets dry for the 10th hour. The gimmick runs old, and by the time you've changed in over like 30 outfits, you get the point like, okay, this is pretty much what the game has to offer. Now, there are definitely many mission stories to find, and as you continue to replay the missions, you'll find some that are truly fun and goofy. But I think more stealth options from a traversal perspective could improve the game substantially. And perhaps the removal of mission stories to keep hidden paths ambiguous to reward the attentive player. It feels like you're inputting a Ubisoft mission marker when you're actually supposed to be finding your own way out of the maze. I think this is a much better way to implement this exact same game mechanic, because it will be rewarding the attentive players who pay attention to the things that the NPCs say, and you create and find your own ways to eliminate your targets instead of the game giving us a set path for us to follow. I feel similarly about Hitman's essential detective vision called Instinct. It's too powerful. It's nice to be able to locate your target when you're struggling a bit, but I'll be honest, I think finding them is also part of the fun. I think it would be better if, for example, Instinct had a much shorter range so that you only see the enemies and your target in your immediate vicinity. And if the target is far away, perhaps you can put some sort of red haze to show that the target is in this direction. Now, even though I've definitely criticized Hitman 3 for its use of mission stories and it kind of taking away the creativity and forcing some sort of rigidity into the game, I do think that despite that, there's still so many tools in which you can use to make your own target eliminations that much more interesting and unique. There are things such as an explosive rubber ducky, a gold bar, and even a snowball. Whether you like the chaos or you prefer something much more discreet, Hitman has an answer for you. Now, we've pretty much considered everything the game has to offer, but let's consider Hitman World of Assassination from a value proposition perspective. Now, even though these are 3 games mashed up all together, does the price validate the amount of value we'll be getting from the game? Okay, so when considering all the games, I always recommend getting the Deluxe or Ultimate Edition, whichever one is available for you on sale, especially if there are DLC expansions added to the game. If the DLCs are pretty much just cosmetics and things like that, and maybe some starting currency, then I would definitely recommend don't even bother wasting your time with that type of thing. So if you're on PC, on the PC platform, the cheapest in which you can get the deluxe edition of Hitman World of Assassination is $44. Not cheap by any means, but it is a lot of content and it's pretty good in that regard. If you're going to be procuring this game via the Xbox store, the lowest you can get it is also for $44, but if you procure it via a key shop, you'll be able to get it for a cheaper $32. The $44 trend also is the same on the PlayStation Store if you're going to be picking this game up on the PlayStation 4 or on the PlayStation 5 platforms. If you're over here in South Africa, the price you're going to be getting it pretty much if you look out for a sale is about 800 Rand. Not cheap, but it's a lot of high quality content, so it's worth it by the end of it all. Now, we've considered how much it costs, but how much gameplay time are we going to be getting from this overall experience? If we head on over to How Long to Beat and look at these statistics, you'll be getting about 24 hours of playtime if you focus on the main story content. I definitely recommend that you replay some of your favorite missions to find some new mission stories. So, if you don't overdo it and you do some of the side content and the DLC expansions, you'll be getting around 46 hours of content. This is the DLCs, the escalations, the extra missions, the side missions, the replayed missions. You will have plenty of gameplay time. Considering everything we've spoken about this afternoon, Hitman World of Assassination is a pretty good value proposition, and especially if you pick it up over on sale, you're going to be assured a great experience. Now, there are significant issues if you're playing on an AMD system. Now, I know that's not the bulk of you, pretty much most of you are going to be on an NVIDIA GPU, or you're going to be on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox. So, if you're on one of those platforms, I would highly recommend you go ahead and pick up Hitman. If you're a fan of stealth games, this is going to tickle your fancy, assuredly. If you're looking for a final rating from me for Hitman World of Assassinations, all these games combined into one, it is getting a 7.5 out of 10. This is the way that Hitman should have been presented to the players in the first place, but I understand IO Interactive must have had some severe budget constraints that stopped them from doing this, but considering the amount of gameplay time you're getting, this is worth the $60 and perhaps even the $70 or $80 price tag. But of course, as I said, look for a sale and you'll be able to pick up this game for a pretty good and enjoyable price. Please go on right ahead, buy this game on whichever platform you want to get it on. Support IO Interactive because I think this is going to be the start of something special. From what I know, that they are working on the next James Bond game, and looking at the mechanics, looking at how this game is, I'm very excited and wished how they're going to do it. If they take this foundation and they build upon it with the next James Bond game, I might be getting that game day one. I'm very excited to see how that thing is going to pan out, and I'm definitely going to be picking it up as soon as it comes out. Thank you for joining me for another review. Until next time, I'm out.